And everyone, welcome. Welcome to the webinar. We are really excited that you're giving us a moment of your Thursday to join us in this new webinar that we have for all of you. We see a lot of people joining. Mary, Jennifer, Tony, welcome everyone. Um, we are here to cover a couple of things in this webinar. We are going to talk about health checks, a new feature that we are excited to share with you. It's a fairly new thing. We haven't really talked about it to many people, but I think you will be excited to hear about it, particularly in these times of remote learning and where things are still a little uncertain out there. So we will be covering that, and we will give also other updates on features that we have talked about in the past, including assignments and behavior reports. So all that is coming up in a few minutes. I am joined here by Chaks Appalabattula. He is the CEO of Bloomz. I am also joined here by Jude McQuelly. She is a teacher and educational technologist in the Seattle Public Schools District. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you. Welcome. Good to be here.
And by the way, my name is Horacio Choa. I am the head of marketing and growth at Bloomz, and I'm really excited to be here and leading the webinar. So, you know, we have 76 people already joined, so I think we're going to get started. Before we get to the important things here, I just wanted to give a couple of administrative things to make sure we cover all.
Horacio, we're not hearing you. No, still suddenly lost your voice. Okay, so people can hear me, it looks like.
Can people hear me? Okay.
Okay, no, Horacio, no luck. Maybe it's time for me to step in your role now. And while you're figuring it out, so I can take on and then continue the conversation. Thank you, everyone. I'm not prepared to talk about these slides, but I'm going to do my best. So I think, as you all know, Horacio was just talking about a lot of new features that we have been working on actively for the last few weeks to months. There's a lot of exciting releases that we're going to be showing you today. You're going to be seeing some of these updates. Still a lot of work is in progress, but you will probably be happy to see a lot of that visibility that we wanted to share. We're getting ready to release the first phase of those things early next week. So there is 3 features that we will be covering today. And in the past webinars, you have seen that we have demonstrated the robocalling features and the ability for you to communicate to the entire district. Then we also announced the assignments and the behavior reporting for the school-wide. We're going to definitely cover the assignments, the phase 1 of it, which is the ability for teachers to be able to create. So now this is the beginning of the school year, so you can actually, with the feature, once it is released early next week, you will start creating these assignments, activities to start with, and then capture them and share with the community within your school and across the entire Bloomz community. So we'll demonstrate that to you, and then we'll also go through the new enhancements that we have done, where as a school, if you're standardizing on behavior patterns to be captured and reported and tracked across your entire school or even entire district, then you can actually use this component wherein you can now standardize at the school level and then push it down to all the classrooms, and then every classroom can then capture the data. You can also capture across the classrooms, outside of the classrooms. So there's a location aspect that you can capture, and then there's wide reporting that we're going to demonstrate on top of that. And then finally, the health check component. So I think in terms of the process, we have the question and answers on the Zoom. So feel free to raise your questions, and Jude is also actively going to monitor and then help me make sure that we answer them at different parts of the webinar. Without further ado, so maybe I can continue to switch on to the demo. So I'm hoping again that you can all hear me. So if not, feel free to again message, and then Jude will probably get my attention. Thank you again. So I'm going to switch and share on my screen now. All right, thank you for that acknowledgement. So I'm continuing here. So this is on a staging environment, on a developer environment. So what you are getting a preview of is something that's still not released. So you will see that it's work in progress. So I do want you to bear with us if you see a little bit of quirks here and there, because that is the process of development. So, but I think you will see enough to be excited about it. I'm confident about that. So first of all, this is my account again. I just have set up for one particular school. I want to kind of just orient you to this setup here a little bit. So you can have obviously multiple classrooms. You can also set up, the reason why I just also added a couple of bus routes is now we're talking about in the COVID situation. I know many schools might start remotely or maybe a blended model, or eventually you might be transitioning to that either blended model or even in-person model. So we still have to have this ability for you to keep track of this health information from all the students that is necessary for you to act appropriately and make the right decisions to protect everyone. So so you can have even bus routes and then give the control to the bus drivers to have access to the health records of those kids before they get onto the bus. So you can request to all the teachers, so this same module where you can capture this health information is going to be available for any group. That means you can also use it to capture the staff health information as well as particular students' health information. And so with that, so I've added some bus routes here, some classrooms here, even sports teams. Imagine like athletic groups. They want to be able to, before they come to the practice, they might want to have access to the same information that was probably captured at the beginning of the day. And you will also see that we are providing the ability for you to capture data for students at multiple times during the day as well. So that way, maybe the parent takes the morning check at home, everything is good. The kid comes to the school and then start showing maybe some symptoms, maybe coughing or whatever. So you might want to take some temperature check and something middle of the day, maybe, things seem a little bit okay, but maybe towards the end of the day, maybe it's starting to manifest more and more. So again, we're handling for all those scenarios. So today with that background, so what I'm going to switch into is, so I'm just going to go into a classroom. So again, just you know all this, how it works. So I could simply go into behavior tab, and you will also see some of our behavior experience also is updated. We'll talk about that as the kind of the third part of it, wherein I'll delve more in depth in terms of all the new enhancements to the behavior. But you can pick, find the student either through the behavior or portfolio, or even from the student tab from the manage section. So any of these places you can find the students that you want to monitor, and then simply go in here. You can then simply go into the health tab. So already you can see that I have just taken a couple of snapshots of the data earlier in the morning. So as the dates also pass by, then there's again some of this visual will be further enhanced to make it much more engaging in visual, but you get the sense. So let's say now for this kid, I want to take a health report. So right away it shows up. This is a CDC um, report, or what is it? The CDC.
It's aligned with the CDC.
Yeah, authorized, or so they approved this kind of form. So we have just taken that same form here. So essentially you are able to capture this data, but this is also configurable. So that means that, the questions could potentially be changing, but you can see that right off the bat, it matches to the standard that is out there. So maybe in this case, we start to see temperature, maybe, some kind of abdominal pain or vomiting. And also we know that the child probably informs that he has traveled to different places where there may be a large number of COVID things. So at this point of time, I can save it. If I feel like there are no symptoms, I just simply tap on the no symptoms. But I'm just going to save it, and then I go into this. So you see that there is a new timestamp where now this is history. So now you have a historical trend also of this particular student. So again, this is what I just showed you is a way for which in which now I've captured in a particular classroom for the same Becky's data. If I go into a bus route here, and then I go into this particular student information here, I go into Ms. Matthews' classroom, I can see the history of that.
We do have a couple questions.
We're giving that information, and we will also make this available through an administrative reporting. I don't have that one to show yet, but just to give you a sense that all of this will also come down into a simple spreadsheet export that you can potentially submit to. There is again a standard that is published out there in terms of how that can be shared. So are there any questions related to this? And do parents have access to the complete health questions, or only teachers? No, even the parents will also have access to their child. So they will actually be, so one of the things that I can quickly show you, where the ability for you to post this to parents, that part is still work in progress, but right in your quick links where you see all the tools that you have, you can also request a health check right from here. So you can then target this. And couple of things here. One, you can obviously request as a teacher for just your classroom parents to submit their students' work, or the administrator can send it for the entire school. And we're also going to be introducing a schedule feature. Means that you can say every weekday before 9 o'clock or whatever, 8 o'clock in the morning, you can send an automatic reminder to the parents to request that health check data update. So that way the parents will get a notification through the app, through the email, through all those things, and then you will then be able to simply capture that information. And the parents will be able to simply submit using the same form that we saw, and then that goes into the same records for the child. I think there's a question about, can this be adapted to the Canadian health checks? So again, we've built this in a configurable fashion. As we expose that ability for you to edit, eventually you can do it. But if there are specific standards for the Canadian health check, if you can share with us, we would like to see how we can incorporate that. Yeah, I think, Mr. Rios, you don't want for the students, but you want the employees self-report. Yes, staff also will be able to self-report. How would it work for the staff? The staff also, I'm not 100% sure if we already pushed that change, but I'm going to try it. View profile. Yeah, it's not pushed yet, but right here you will see sub tabs here, and the health will show up right for the staff. So, but we will be making that available as well. Just like student profile has multiple tabs, you will also see for the staff updates tab, and then there is a separate tab for health check. Okay, so there are questions about can students be shared between the teachers? For example, if a record fell sick and then the third period also reports, will see that reported? Yes, and the answer is yes. I showed you from a bus route scenario perspective. Um, right now, so there's work wherein we aggregate all of this view. So whatever I showed you, the multiple checkpoints, not just at a particular class level, but they can be aggregated at various times. So one can come from the parent, one can come from teacher in first grade, period, and then there may be another one after the fourth period and so on. So they will all be able to access. Can we change the questions or only ask certain ones? Right now, the ability to customize the questions is not yet going to be released in the first phase, but we have built it in such a way that they're configurable. And whether asking for certain ones, again, I think you can either customize the whole form or not. So when will this feature go live? Our target is next week. Yes. Is there a report you can run, see for the day? And yes, the admin report is not something that I have to something to show you right now, but all of this data, there will be administrative reporting that will be made available so that you can pull the data by date range, by also targeting by different classrooms and so on. So there is a way in which you can export that and also download that as a CSV data. Will the health checks be part of the free app or the premium? Again, we are going to make the health checks available for the classrooms for free. But of course, there are, if you want to use it for the entire school and standardize and get the school-wide reports, then it is part of the premium, that part. So, but you can have teachers start using it in the classrooms. And we do want teachers that are using Bloomz and want to continue to use Bloomz even with the COVID situation. We want them to feel comfortable that they can actually capture this data for their classrooms through their parents and still be able to act on it. Of course, with the premium, it makes that whole administrative ability for the entire school to be very powerful. Mary, how much is the premium? I think, definitely you can schedule a call with our sales team if you just reach out either through our website, because there are a lot of parameters that we would probably want to know about, like enrollment and certain features and so on. So definitely, yeah, we would be happy to talk and share about that. So either send an email to sales@bloomz.com, or you can also schedule a call directly from bloomz.com/schools. Can you disable the health checks feature? Yes, we will make it a configurable option. Yes.
And Chaks, I'm back on audio. Hopefully you can hear me now. Can you hear me, Chaks?
All right, so let's move on to the next one. If there are no more questions, okay. Perfect. So thank you. So I'm going to continue with the next part of the feature. So this one I'm very excited about. So
Chaks, before you move on, did you hear Horatio just then?
I think there is also another question about if things change according to the CDC guidelines, will this be updated live? Yeah. So again, we will give you the ability to customize as well. But at least we will maintain a standard form that is up to date. I think there was one question about, is there a place to record the temperature? That's a good question. Right now, it's based on the CDC form. It's it's more self-check, but I think you can always use the behavior data also to capture this information as well. So we'll as we get into that one, we'll probably see that, but we'll take a look at this particular question to see if there is something that we can do there. Okay, so I'm going to switch to the assignments and the activities feature at this point. Thumbs up, Horacio. Move on to the next one. Okay. So the assignments feature, as we already mentioned, we're releasing this in kind of the two phases. The phase one is where the teachers will have the ability to now start creating the activities that match to their lesson plans, and also share with the community, pull from the community. So we want to facilitate that ability for you to plan your entire year, or maybe even the next upcoming weeks to months ahead. So we will be working on releasing that fast. So where do we show that module? So first of all, it's also, once the assignments come up, they will start showing up here. So as you can see, assigning to students, which is coming soon. Currently, you can create activities and share with the community. So you can also click here. You can also, we are renaming our media into what we call the library. So you know that under the media, you currently get to see the photos, albums, documents, but now we're also going to be adding activities. So here is where you have some of the activities. Then you will see that there are 3 subtabs. There is community, then there is specific to your school and district, and then and my library. So thanks to Jude for creating some of these existing things. So I go in here. This is my library. I can create. Obviously, you see that I'm not a teacher, but I'm trying to scribble just to create some things here. But let me go ahead and show you how easy it is and how powerful it is to create a new activity. So I'm going to just simply go ahead and click on plus create activity. So I can give an activity name. So I'm going to create a carbon cycle. That's what I've been practicing for the last few hours. But let's see if I can do a good job here. So let's say it's probably the grade 5, or I'm not 100% sure which grade I was told this subject, but so grade 5. So here you can add obviously student instructions, you can add audio, you can add photos and video. You can also, most of the times you'll probably be having English, but the beauty is that you can also change the languages again. So we support the same rich multilingual support. So you can switch, and obviously the system also will do auto translate, but you can further tweak it if you want. So here I'm going to say student instructions. You can copy paste if there are common instructions. You can also use imagery. You can use icons. And then this is where, there are also advanced options where I can give kind of the teacher notes. If I'm sharing with other teachers, then I can put instructions on how they can use this activity for their classroom. And the other thing that we're also introducing is the ability for you to capture the parent instructions. Again, the same thing. You have the different languages support. You can also audio, you can add video and photos and so on. Now, the main thing that I would like to spend time is like adding the template for student responses. So I can click on this. Now, we have enhanced this tool significantly now. As you can see here, this tool has a lot of rich capabilities for you to do different things. And in the final release of this, we will go through and you will see that there is a lot more additional things that this tool will start having. So you have obviously at the left, you have color tools. So you have different brushes that you can use. Each of them you can use to change the colors for different brushes, and there will also be different thicknesses, and you can also use highlighter. What I'm going to do is probably demonstrate a quick way to create an activity. So I'm going to just browse here, go to downloads, and I'm going to pick this particular image. So I can just, so I'm doing on carbon cycle, I can upload images. I can take live picture. This can be a worksheet that you can give to the students and let them work on it. So here I can put the image. I can also, at the bottom, you can see that I can lock the image. So now at this point of time, the image cannot be moved anymore. And I can bring in other types of images. And then I can add text. So again, text also, I can change the colors if I want. I can then also resize this. So move it around. And I can also change the style. I can order it front, back, I can duplicate. So all those contextual options are also there. And I'm going to bring in some more images here. So maybe let me put a sun here, and then again. So imagine this is the same tool that the students are also going to use on top of this. So this could be the template that you're creating and giving all the resources, and you want them to annotate where is the perspiration, where is the fossil fuels coming, where are the, so the whole carbon cycle, if we want them to explain and then draw on top of this template, you can have the placeholders. You can also use shapes. You can bring in attention to different things. Different types of shapes can be used. You can also rotate them, resize them. So again, a pretty rich set of tools that we're bringing to the table here, so that you have, and you as well as your students can really communicate very effectively. And this tool is also so powerful that eventually when we release this in phases, you will also be able to do a live collaboration with your students. So that means multiple students in your classroom, and you can be on the same screen, and you are talking about it, and different students can also fill to the same thing and add to this one. So I'm very excited about this particular capability. It's a significant improvement to the previous tool that we have had on the portfolios. And then on top of it, I can also add voice to this, and I can record this. And there's also backgrounds I can change. I can apply different colors. And you can also, if you want to start, erasing stuff, you can also do that. So if I have done, let's say, now I started drawing something here and I want to erase that, I can also erase, I can erase that. And so we're using this one. So, so because I set the color as the erase one. So you can do, and you can also do undo. And you can also upload links. You can upload links and then capture that. You will also have the ability to add videos to this one. So you can have essentially, maybe on the side, you can actually pre-record your instructions on the same template, and then let the video be right there, and then you can play that. So I just want to pause for a moment and then see if there are any questions or comments on this one. So I can save this. That becomes the template. And I can give, again, as I said, instructions here. I can create. Now I can also add to my collections. So again, I can organize them into different collections, math collection and so on. You can create new collection and then done. So now here is my new carbon cycle template along with the activity. So once the assign feature is enabled, right now it's blocked, but once that is there, then I can go pick my class, entire class, or a subset of the students and assign them to that. You can also, and obviously you can click on the same activity, you can share with the community. You can also view, edit, or duplicate this. So you're starting from this activity, you may be tweaking it further. So you can simply create from this activity and start with the template and further tweak and customize for another template and another activity. So if you share it automatically at the entire school or the district level, school level, at least for sure, it will show up automatically. But for the community, there is a process of approval to make sure that it meets certain guidelines and make sure that it is something that we can make it available for all the community. But now I can also look at something, I can like it, I can start using this one. I can add to my library. I can create from this activity and customize it further. So that way, we want to encourage all the teachers out there to start creating this content for themselves, but also make it a rich community-driven sharing that makes it easy for teachers to find these resources out there. You can also search based on subjects, based on the grades. So you'll have also the ability to search, find the content that matches your requirements.
Can you hear me?
So I'd like to see if there are comments or questions on this one so far. Let's see here.
There's a question about video size. Can you hear me, Chaks?
Sarah, yeah, so in phases we're releasing, but yeah, in the first phase, it will be more like individually students doing it. In the phase, the phase 1 is where you creating this assignments, activities, and then the phase 2 is when you can assign to the students. Phase 3 is when you can also do the live part of it, collaboration with it. Let's see, are there other questions? So Amanda, are you saying my volume is low or?
No, she's saying that you can't hear you or me.
Oh, okay, okay, got it, got it.
Oh,
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you guys now. You're back.
Oh, we're back.
Oh, great. Great. Thanks. So I just wanted to let you know that maybe I can help manage some of these questions. I've been trying to answer some of them here in the Q&A. There was a question though, Chaks, about size limit on the video that can be uploaded.
Size limit of the video. Yeah, so again, we have now the video limits have been increased already. So now for the, again, there is the free version and the premium. So we do have the free has some size limit and the storage limit. But whereas in the free the premium version, again, you can upload even like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So you should not have any issues with it.
There was another question, Chaks. You mentioned earlier in the presentation about these edits to the file that can be done live. So Sarah was asking, okay, how does this happen live with the students?
How does this happen with live? So when you assign it, you can mark this as okay, live activity, and then all the students can jump onto the same activity, and then they're all in the same live collaboration document. So everybody is updating the same document. I hope that makes sense. Whereas if you make it as an independent assignment, then they're all getting a copy of this and they're working on their own, they're submitting their own work, and then you can assess it later and kind of approve it so that it gets added to their individualized portfolio.
You also mentioned a 3-phase release, and I think you mentioned the first 2 dates for the release, but there's a question about when the 3rd phase is.
So the team will continue to work on it. So we're hoping the phase 3 will be early next month.
Okay. Another question here about the shared resources and who has access? Is it just the community or everyone in Bloomz outside of the, like outside of their community and even outside of the US?
Yeah, so this is a global community. So with Bloomz, I mean, there's obviously, as you saw, there's a community, there's school and district / your own library. So your own library is where you can keep the resources not shared with anyone. So there might be some resources that might be copyrighted, whatever. So you don't want to share broadly. So you want to keep it for yourselves. Then there is the next level is sharing. When you share it, then by default, it is made available to all teachers and educators in your school. So that means like, all the other teachers can also find it and be able to use it. The community resources are the ones that, as I said, like there is an approval process at this point. wherein we would review to make sure that it complies with some of the content standards and so on. But then once it is approved, that is made available to all educators on Bloom's community. And it's not location dependent, so it's worldwide.
There's a question here from Sarah. Can you assign to individual students versus the whole class in general?
Yes, yes. The answer is yes. That would be the case. And
Helen asking, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, either to the whole class or an individual student or even a subset of the students. Maybe they're working in a team, so you could assign that.
Great. And Helen was asking here whether other resources that are created outside of Bloom's can be added to the library. And I think the answer is yes. Yeah,
I mean, at this point of time, this is a rich set of capabilities that we have demonstrated to you. You can add PDFs, you can add videos, you can add, but again, all of them go towards this kind of what we call the content structure of the activities. And so they are essentially shareable. Again, we don't hold responsibility for the copyrights. Again, you will be responsible for what you're sharing. But yeah, but as a platform, it makes it available for you to be able to create them and share that.
Another question here about you mentioned how you can assign like categories by grade or by topic. And there's a question here by Helen. Can it be both? So for instance, can it be 6th grade math, or is it just all math in all 6th grade?
No, that's in fact, like when I was creating an activity. So first, after I give some name, I have to first pick the grade, and then the subject I have to pick. So this is basically 6th grade, science, 6th grade, whatever, computer science, and so on. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So there is a targeting. So that means like, there could be some subjects that, let's say algebra is probably not applicable in, early grades, whereas it is an applicable thing maybe in the high school. So there is that ability for you to tag and filter subjects that are specific to certain what grades are relevant.
There's before we move on to the next subject, so we can have enough time, and we'll add some time at the end of the presentation to ensure that we're answering as many questions as possible. But there are a couple of questions, Chaks, about the release schedule and what is available when. So maybe you can clarify that. Phase 1, phase 2, what's in each and when they happen.
Yeah. So the phase 1, as I said, is for you to like all the rich set of tools that I showed you with issues worked out, kinks worked out. We will release that early next week. That means that starting early next week in your Bloomz app, you can start to pre-create all the activities, tag them with the grade, the subject, you organize it, you can share it with the community. You can also pull from the community and create it into collections. The rich set of tools that I demonstrated while creating the activity, they're all going to be made available. So you can add videos to that, you can add files to it, you can add images to it and create the templates. You can also add links to it and then get a nice preview of that link also in line. So all of those resources will be there. You also have different shapes. So everything that I demonstrated, I could spend more time, but all those rich set of tools will be available so that you can pre-create the activities ready to go. When the phase 2 comes, then you will be able to simply click on that assign button and then assign it to the entire class or subset of the class or specific individual students. And then now the whole mechanism and the workflow of student getting the notification, the student being able to take that activity, and then on top of it, they can further customize, add their notes, add their voice, everything. And then they will be able to submit it back. And then you will be getting notification. And depending on your approval mechanism, either they're auto-approved or you review them. And then at that point of time, you can also approve or kind of accept it, or you can also kind of send back for more edits. So you can do that. So as part of that assignment, we'll also be plugging that into the calendar view. So there's a lot of those aspects that are also coming. We're also going to be introducing the ability to categorize those assignments into folders. So there's a lot of nuances to that whole assignment part of it, tracking. So that's the phase 2. The phase 3 is where we want to be able to take the same assignment, but now say it's a live session, like collaborative document. Means all the students that are assigned, they're not getting separate copies. They're all working on the same document. And then now you could have maybe a Zoom session and then in parallel or something, and then you can have a class going on and then let everybody add to it. So you're all doing at the same time on the same resource. And then it's live updating it.
So to kind of try to simplify and summarize what you just said, Chaks, let me see if I can put it in a few words, is everything that you just showed. So the ability for teachers to create the activities and have them in their classroom ready to be used, that's coming up early next week.
Correct.
Then the ability for that to be sent and assigned to the students, and so the students can respond and the teacher can review them and make them final, that's coming a week after. So early the week of 2 weeks from now, I guess. And the third phase, which is the collaborative environment, that's coming in early next month in September.
Correct.
Great. Great. So that hopefully that helps. We'll make, by the way, we will make some of these things available in our blog, so you can go back and kind of confirm some of these dates. So keep an eye on our blog and our social media. But I think given the time, Chaks, it's probably a good time for us to move on to the next topic, behavior reports.
Yeah. I think there was some question about does this work with CESA? Obviously, it's a separate company, separate product, but I think hopefully you will see that we have the capabilities that our mission has always been about being that one-stop app for all your needs for communicating with your families. And I think this one takes that mission to the next level. So yeah, I mean, at this point of time, you don't need those other tools in our view to be able to achieve this. Okay, so let me switch to the final aspect of the presentation, which is the ability for the entire school to standardize on the behavior tracking, behavior reporting, so that even now it's in an online environment, lots of schools are talking to us about how they can capture the same, use the same tool. Because see, the kids are in the classroom, the management is probably a slightly different way. There also you need this tool, but when they're online, how do you even capture these behaviors and then communicate them with the parents? Because the parents are remote, the students are remote, you are remote, most likely your teachers are remote, everybody's kind of working remotely. So the more visibility that is and is possible, it's better for everyone to make sure that they're creating a positive, reinforced learning environment. So what am I going to show here is that I'm going to show you, earlier we used to have, if you go into a classroom, we know that you can customize the behaviors, you can customize the awards, the themes, everything in the classroom. But now we have made it available for the entire school to standardize. So if I go into this school, I'm an administrator here, I click on the settings, I go and click on edit settings. So now there is a new tab called behavior. So now in this behavior, now I can predefine what types of awards are the different types of interactions that you're capturing for the behaviors. What can you capture? And then also edit the location types. So if you're going to the award types, again, I can filter the various types of subgroups that we have. Most of the times you would probably use the classroom, but let's say you're at a high school, you want to keep track of the behaviors at the sports teams. So you can also customize for the sports teams. Or if you also have a childcare room, so you can customize all this standard stuff that you would like to capture. And that becomes now a standard set of things that are made available to every classroom. So you know the current functionality, those who have used the behavior, it's a very flexible and configurable way where you can create new type of awards, as well as you can customize and change the points maybe for different things. So maybe on task is more important, so that's 5 points. Participating is kind of relatively important, so that's 3 points. Hardworking is so important that it's 10 points, whatever. So you can configure these points, customize. You can add, customize, add new things. Similarly, what needs improvement, you can customize all of these things. So that's one thing that you do at the school level. Similarly, there are locations. So you will obviously have, these are pretty standard locations that most schools would have. Classrooms, online, bus, gym, hallways, cafeteria, and so on. But you're not limited to this. You can also add locations. So you can add your custom locations. You can also tweak the naming of these things if you have a different way of calling your locations. And then you can also configure some of the default things. And then the next thing that you can also do is go into this permissions, and you can configure, this is where many schools that want to standardize on this behavior, they might want to allow teachers from other grades to be able to add points or capture these behaviors across classrooms, maybe because a second grade teacher might observe that a fourth grade student in a hallway has done a great commendable act, maybe helping a younger child, and so on. Now he or she wants to recognize that child. Right now, in the current classroom-based behavior, you can only do it within your classroom. But now you will be able to do it by finding that student from anywhere. So that's the thing where you can configure that, or you can block it. Then the next thing is also, if you're really standardizing and you don't want any further tweaking, you can also let the teachers not modify. So that means you can block it. So by default, in this case, it's blocked, but if you want, you can also allow teachers to further customize. So once you do that, now I'm going to show you a couple of things. So let's start with a classroom. So I go into the Mr. Matthews classroom. And right here, there's also the flags. I will talk about that because I think the flags is something that's very powerful and very unique to this new enhancement. Is that, as you can see here, the flags are a seep-through, means you can actually see them through wherever they are being assigned, across classrooms, across the student's presence. So the flags can be automatically also configured. That's the piece that we're working on, wherein if the student achieves certain number of positive points, then you might get green badge. So you can have certain number of positive badges, the flags, and there are certain types of consequences are kind of the things that require attention flags. So like the orange flag, the red flag, maybe black flag, things like that. So, and you will be able to configure some of those things, how many negative points will lead to an orange flag, how many further negative, maybe 3 consecutive negative points will lead to orange, and then 4 will lead to red, and 5 will lead to black, things like that. So all those flags will then be made instantly visible. So that's a very powerful way. And we also are giving you this kind of summary view. Of course, this is still work in progress. We don't have a lot of history, so all the charts are showing the same, but these will be dynamically pulling the data. And the rest of the behavior. I'm not going to the details of how you can assign points, all these things. But you can also flags, in addition to being automatic, you can also manually assign them. So let's say Aaron, and I can also assign a shout out. And this is where, when I do that, right now, of course, by default, I'm in the classroom. So this is the classroom location, but I can also change this. Now, when I do all of this, and then I can go into the history of Becky's history. So I can go in here, awards earned. So I can see the full history of this child. I can analyze further. I can also write from here, give as we saw already, the behavior information. I can also give right from there. So I can give more flags. So there's also flags here. So you will see the history of the flags. You can also retract the flags. And now what I'm going to do is that same student. So now I go into the school, and I could be another teacher. I simply go to the school page and find the students. Now I can I can find them by different groups. I can simply filter them by, look for the students in a particular classroom. or I can also simply search for the students right from here. And then I can click on a student and then look at their information right from there. And then I can give behavior report right from here. So that information, again, I can filter down here depending on where the classes are, where the what groups that the student has access to. Then let's see why the Mrs. Jones classroom, or so I think probably that's the one. Okay, so Becky. So see here, for example, the flags for the child are also made available right here. So there's, again, as you probably saw, there's still work in progress here, but the idea is that now the behavior information can be standardized at the top level, at the school level, and pushed down. It can be made so that nobody else can customize it or can allow further customization of those standards. Next, you can also make it available so that any teacher, any educator in the school can potentially assign points to somebody else. And then you can also, while assigning the points, you can find the location and customize the location part of it as part of that. So now all of this information is now, I don't have that final reports to show you yet, but as an administrator, you will now have the ability to analyze all of this data by students, by teachers, by different types of awards, by locations. So now you have this rich dashboard that will give you that visibility into how to analyze this data and act upon it, so that if let's say you're constantly seeing a lot of negative behaviors in gym, that's an indication maybe there's something that is needed to be done there. Or if you feel like there's a lot of positive things that are happening in certain things, how do you further encourage that? How do you further recognize it? So I'd like to pause here and see if there are questions that we can take here.
Yes, Chaks. Excuse me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. There's a question here. Can you set it to only have certain features? So particularly to the behavior data, do all teachers have access to students' behavior data, or how does permissioning work for these reports and the assignment of flags and behavior points?
Yeah, so right now it's kind of, at least the districts that we are working with, they would like to standardize on either all teachers have access to all of them or nobody has. And basically they only have access to their particular classes. So there's the two modes right now. We don't have another further level of filtering, but if we we can further look into that requirement in the future. But right now the way we're implementing.
But right now,
yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, that was my point. So right now it will be either all of the teachers have access to it, or the other option is they only have access to their own classroom.
Yep, sure.
Correct.
Yep. And I think there was a question by Megan that they have some other call, so she may have to jump out. But can we get the recording so that?
Yes, absolutely. We will send the recording via email to everyone who registered. And we'll publish it in our blog and in our social media. So keep an eye for those things. For those who can stay, for the reminder of the webinar, there's a couple more questions, Chaks.
Sure.
So particularly with some of the previous topics, when it comes to health checks, can a teacher, so this is the health reports, can a teacher view the entire class, like a report of the entire class health checks, or just on a per student basis?
Yeah, so you will get also the class-wide report. And we will also actually give you this kind of quick view of, let's say you have asked the parents to submit the information, which students have submitted versus not submitted. So you will also have that quick view of that.
Got it. Is the report for health checks, is the report printable or exportable in some way?
Yes, it will be exportable into CSV.
Into CSV and printed as well, correct?
And printed as well, yes. Yeah.
Correct. Great. Can other parents see students' behavior, assignments, or even the information on which child belongs to which parent? So the first two, no. Parents can only see the behavior and assignments related to their own student, to their own child. Whether the child belongs to which parent in the membership of the classroom, depending on the settings that the teacher has set for the classroom, they could or they couldn't. It's a configurable setting in our app.
Correct. Yeah. Parent communication can be turned off, and that way you don't have parents seeing any other parents or their links.
So Tricia, hopefully that answered your question. What Chaks just said. It's in the parent-to-parent communication. If you turn that off, then the parents are not going to be able to see other parents and whose parent of which child. Yep, great. Let's see, would we get a report of info kit in the childcare rooms for all children as an admin? I think she's referring to the health checks. Will the admin be able to access the information for childcare rooms? And the answer is yes. Yes. As long as you have administrative access to the school, which comes with the school subscription.
Correct.
Okay. I think those are the questions we have. We'll give another couple of seconds to see if there are any other questions, but I wanted to just mention, like I said, we will share the recording of this webinar on via email. There's also, since we're live on Facebook, this will live on our Facebook page as well, so you can go and check it out there if you prefer that route. There will be other webinars coming up. We will share the next phases of the release in upcoming webinars, so please keep an eye on our blog, on our social media at Bloomz app. We would love the feedback, so if you want to send us a tweet, send us an email. I saw a couple of questions about subscriptions. If you're an administrator interested in getting this for your whole school, definitely send us an email to sales@bloomz.com, and we will be able to help you there with pricing and all the information you need. I saw a question there about CISO and whether they work together. I think the greatest thing about this is that with Bloomz, you wouldn't need another app. Basically, you have everything that CISO has. You will have it here in the app. But you can have everything else. So the calendar, the messaging, parent-teacher conferences, everything in one place. So definitely, if you're interested to set this up for your school, give us an email at sales@bloomz.com. Can a teacher doesn't?
I just said,
went away.
Can a teacher sign up for free by herself today? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, the
yes,
teacher can
absolutely.
some of these features as they get pushed out. You will see that manifest in the app that you already sign up for. Yes.
There's a question about single sign-on option. I think right now we only have integration with Clever for single sign-on. We are working with we're working with Google Classroom, for instance, to see what kind of integration we can do. So more news on that in the future, but for now, it's just that.
I think there was a question about, I think Amanda has some question about HIPAA and so on. So right now, you will need to, basically it's the staff health record would be made visible to the staff themselves and the administrators.
Okay. I think
there was one more question about video length.
Which one?
It was in the chat a little while back. Is there a limit on video length that teachers can upload on the feed?
Yeah, I think we answered that one, saying that, you know, there's we've enhanced that limit to now you should be able to upload even up to 10 minutes. But what we do suggest is obviously there is a free versus premium. There are certain other limits that can storage restrictions might kick in. But other than that, but for individual video, now we have increased the limit significantly.
Great, seems to be all the questions. I really appreciate everyone giving us a little bit of your time to attend this webinar. Hopefully you're excited about what you saw. Health checks was a great new feature that came in late in the process, but you'll be excited to have that in your arsenal as you're coming back to school. Thank you, Chaks, for doing the demos. Thank you, Jude, also for kind of helping with the questions here. And keep an eye on our blog, social media, and thanks everyone for attending.
Thank you all. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.